She dialed his number 15 times while collapsing in their bedroom. His mother held her hand and promised help was coming. His sister stayed by her side, smiling softly. But when he finally came home and saw the empty ambulance in the driveway, he realized they'd been lying all along. Before we begin, smash that subscribe button because this story will break your heart and then put it back together. You need to hear how love can blind us and how the truth always finds the light. Now let's dive in. Andrew Matthews never believed in love at first sight until he walked into that small art gallery on a rainy Thursday evening. He was 35, a self-made billionaire who'd built his tech empire from nothing, and he'd seen beautiful things before. Expensive things, rare things. But when he saw Simone standing beside her paintings, explaining color theory to an elderly couple with such passion that her whole face glowed, something inside him just stopped. He bought every single piece in her exhibition. Not to impress her, though it did. Not to show off his wealth, though he could. He bought them because he needed a reason to keep talking to her. That first conversation turned into coffee, which turned into lunch, which turned into dinner, which turned into a midnight walk through the city where they talked about everything and nothing until the sun came up. 14 hours. Their first date lasted 14 hours. 8 months later, he proposed on the same corner where they'd watched that sunrise. She said yes with tears streaming down her face, and Andrew remembered thinking that this was what his whole life had been building toward. Not the money, not the success. This woman, this love. Their wedding was intimate and beautiful, just close friends and family on a beach at sunset. Their honeymoon in Santorini felt like a dream. Andrew left her handwritten notes on her pillow every morning, telling her all the ways she'd changed his life. She'd wake up and read them and cry happy tears, and he'd pull her close and whisper that he'd waited his whole life for her. Their friends called them relationship goals. Their Sunday mornings were spent cooking breakfast together, dancing in the kitchen, planning their future. When Simone found out she was pregnant, they both cried. Andrew talked to her belly every single night, telling their baby stories, making promises. He painted the nursery himself in soft yellow because Simone said it felt like sunshine. He read parenting books obsessively, highlighting passages, taking notes. He told her over and over, "I'm going to be the best father. Our baby will never doubt for 1 second that they're loved." And Simone believed him. God, she believed him. Meeting his family came naturally. His mother, Barbara, was warm and welcoming, pulling Simone into a tight hug and saying, "Welcome to our family, sweetheart. We're so happy Andrew found you." His sister, Claudia, was equally excited, gushing about finally having a sister-in-law and an upcoming niece or nephew. They helped plan the baby shower together. They had family dinners that felt genuine and loving. Simone told her best friend Lisa that she'd married into the family she'd always dreamed of having. But somewhere around the 5th month of pregnancy, things started shifting, small things at first. Andrew began working later, coming home after Simone had fallen asleep. He had an important project, he explained, kissing her forehead gently. He was building their future, securing their child's legacy. Simone understood. She'd married an ambitious man, and she loved that about him. Barbara offered to stay with her when Andrew traveled for business. "You shouldn't be alone, sweetheart," she insisted. Simone felt grateful. Claudia started visiting daily, bringing food and keeping her company. "Just want to spend time with my sister-in-law before the baby takes all your attention," she'd say with a laugh. Simone felt blessed, supported, loved. Then Andrew missed his first doctor's appointment. He apologized profusely, looking genuinely devastated. "I'm so sorry, baby. This deal is just crazy right now. I'll make the next one, I promise." When he missed the second appointment, Barbara went instead, taking detailed notes, recording the doctor's instructions. "Don't worry," she assured Simone. "Andrew's under so much pressure. We'll help him through this." Simone defended him to her friends when they raised eyebrows. He was providing for their family. He was building their future. That's what good husbands did. At 7 months, the doctor's face turned serious during a routine checkup. Gestational hypertension, she diagnosed. It could develop into preeclampsia, which was dangerous for both mother and baby. Simone needed to rest, reduce stress, and monitor herself carefully for warning signs. Severe headaches, vision changes, upper abdominal pain, sudden swelling. If any of those appeared, she needed to call immediately. No waiting. No hesitation. Simone told Andrew that night, her voice shaking. He pulled her into his arms and held her so tight she could feel his heart racing. "Nothing will happen to you," he promised. "I won't let anything happen to either of you. I love you both so much." She fell asleep feeling safe, feeling loved, feeling protected. But when she woke the next morning, he was already gone. A text on her phone read, "Emergency meeting. Mom's coming over. Love you." And that became the pattern. Barbara and Claudia were suddenly always there, claiming it was temporary, just until the baby came. Andrew wanted her safe, they said. They were attentive, cooking her favorite meals, keeping the house spotless, never leaving her alone. But they were also controlling in ways Simone couldn't quite name. They handled everything so she wouldn't strain herself. Her friends visited less frequently because Andrew thought she needed rest, not stimulation. Her phone was often misplaced, then mysteriously returned hours later. "Oh, found it in the laundry, silly me," Claudia would say with an apologetic smile. It was isolation wrapped in care, and Simone didn't see it. She was too tired, too uncomfortable, too focused on the baby growing inside her. The terrible day started with a headache. Simone woke up with her head pounding, her vision slightly blurry. She found Barbara at breakfast and mentioned it, trying to keep her voice calm even though fear was creeping up her spine. Barbara smiled reassuringly and patted her hand. "Pregnancy headaches, sweetie, completely normal. Just drink lots of water." Claudia nodded in agreement. "I had those with all my pregnancies. You're absolutely fine." When Simone asked if she should call the doctor, Barbara waved a dismissive hand. "And waste their time? You just need rest, darling. We're here to take care of you." Andrew had left before dawn for a massive investor meeting across town. This deal would secure the company's future for generations, he'd told her the night before. He'd kissed her while she was still half asleep, whispering that he loved her. She tried calling him at 10 in the morning when the headache intensified, just to hear his voice, just to feel connected. It went to voicemail. "Hey, baby, just checking in. I love you." She didn't think much of it. He was busy. He was working. He was providing for them. By 11, Simone's hands and feet were severely swollen. Sharp, stabbing pain radiated through her upper right abdomen. This wasn't normal. She knew it wasn't normal. Every instinct in her body was screaming that something was very, very wrong. She found Barbara in the living room and said, her voice trembling, "Something's wrong. I need to go to the hospital." Barbara's face shifted into concern as she guided Simone to the couch. "Oh, honey, let me check you over." She took Simone's blood pressure with the home monitoring kit. "It's slightly elevated but not dangerous yet. Let's wait an hour and see if it comes down. I don't want you panicking over nothing and stressing the baby." At noon, the pain was unbearable. Simone called Andrew again. No answer. Barbara appeared beside her. "He's in the meeting, dear. You know how important this is? Let's not disturb him." 12:30, another call, straight to voicemail. Claudia appeared with a glass of water. "He turned his phone off for the presentation, sweetie. He'll call back as soon as he can." By 1 o'clock, Simone was crying from pain and fear. "I need to go to the hospital right now," she insisted, trying to stand. Barbara nodded quickly. Okay, you're right. Let me grab my keys." She disappeared down the hallway. 10 minutes passed, then 15. Simone tried to stand on her own, but dizziness overwhelmed her. The edges of her vision were darkening. She fumbled for her phone and called Andrew again. Declined. She tried her best friend Lisa. Her phone was dead. She stared at it in confusion. She'd plugged it in last night. She was certain she'd plugged it in. Claudia appeared with more water. "Drink this. Mom's getting the car ready." But something in Claudia's eyes looked wrong. Something looked flat, empty. At 1:45, Simone vomited from the pain. She crawled into the hallway, calling out desperately, "Barbara! Claudia, please, I need help!" She found them in the kitchen, standing close together, talking in low voices. They turned when she appeared in the doorway, and their faces were unreadable. Simone could barely see them through her darkening vision. Please, she gasped. Hospital. The baby. Barbara's voice was calm, almost soothing. We called Andrew, sweetheart. He's on his way home now. He'll be here soon. Simone's legs gave out. Call 911. Please. Something's wrong with the baby. Claudia crouched beside her. Andrew specifically said to wait for him. He's almost here. Just hold on a little longer. Through her fading consciousness, Simone saw Claudia's phone on the counter. The screen was visible. No recent calls. They hadn't called Andrew. They hadn't called anyone. At 2:15, Simone collapsed completely. Blood pooled beneath her, and Barbara and Claudia just stood there watching. What they didn't know was that the neighbor, Mr. Harrison, had heard Simone's cries through the open window earlier. He'd come to check, knocking persistently on the door. Barbara had answered with a pleasant smile. Everything's fine. Simone's just resting. But Mr. Harrison had heard the moaning inside, heard the desperation. I'm calling an ambulance, he'd said firmly. Barbara had tried to stop him. That's really not necessary. But he was already dialing. The hell it isn't. The paramedics arrived at 2:28. They found Simone unconscious, hemorrhaging severely. Barbara and Claudia had suddenly transformed into panicked family members. She just collapsed. We were just about to call. It happened so fast. But the lead paramedic had been doing this job for 15 years, and something felt wrong. When did her symptoms start? He asked. Claudia answered quickly. Just now, maybe 20 minutes ago. Mr. Harrison pushed into the house behind them. That's a damn lie. I heard her screaming for help over 2 hours ago. The paramedic picked up Simone's phone from where it had fallen. The call log told a devastating story. 15 attempted calls to Andrew. The last text, sent at 1:30, made the paramedic's jaw clench. Please come home. They won't take me to hospital. Something wrong. Scared. As they loaded Simone into the ambulance, the paramedic called Andrew's office directly. We need Andrew Matthews at General Hospital immediately. His wife is critical. The assistant tried to deflect. He's in a very important meeting. The paramedic's voice cut through like ice. His wife is dying. His baby is dying. Get him out of that meeting now. Andrew burst from the boardroom, his face completely white. The investors sat in stunned silence as he ran from the building without a word, without his jacket, without anything but his car keys and his phone that he was frantically trying to turn back on. He arrived at the hospital to find Barbara and Claudia already there, both crying, both holding each other. What happened? He demanded, his whole body shaking. Barbara reached for him, tears streaming. She collapsed so suddenly, sweetheart. We were so scared. We didn't know what to do. Before Andrew could respond, a doctor emerged from the operating room, still in surgical gear. Are you the husband? Andrew could barely speak. Yes, is she? The doctor's face was grave. She's critical, severe preeclampsia that developed into eclampsia, placental abruption. We're doing everything we can. He paused, studying Andrew carefully. How long was she symptomatic? Barbara jumped in. Maybe 30 minutes before we found her and called. That's a lie. Everyone turned. The paramedic who'd brought Simone in stepped forward, holding Simone's phone. Sir, your wife called you 15 times today. She sent you 8 voicemails and 12 text messages. The first one was at 10 this morning. That was 6 hours ago. He held up the phone so Andrew could see the screen. Call after call, text after text. The neighbor reported hearing her call for help at noon. Your mother and sister were with her the entire time. They didn't call 911? We only got there because the neighbor called us. Andrew's hands started shaking as he took the phone. He scrolled through messages he'd never seen because his phone had been off. Messages that broke his heart with every word. Head hurts so bad. Where are you? They say I'm fine, but I'm scared. Please answer. Need you. Can't see right. Everything blurry. They won't take me to hospital. Say you're coming. Please come home. They won't take me to hospital. Something wrong. Scared. He turned slowly to his mother, and she actually stepped back from the look on his face. Mom? His voice was barely a whisper. Claudia broke first, her sobs suddenly real, suddenly panicked. We didn't think it was that serious. We thought she was just... Andrew's voice rose to a roar. She was bleeding, and you didn't think it was serious? Barbara tried to maintain composure, but cracks were showing. She's always been dramatic about symptoms, Andrew. Always needing attention. We thought, you thought what? Andrew was shaking with rage and grief and horror. And then Barbara's mask slipped completely. Her tears dried up. Her voice went cold. We thought if something happened naturally, you'd be free to find someone more suitable. Someone from our world who understands our life. The words hung in the air like poison. That woman trapped you with this pregnancy. She doesn't belong in our family. We built you into who you are, and she was taking you away from us. We just wanted our Andrew back. Our real family back. Claudia nodded, actually nodded. We just wanted things to go back to how they were before her. Andrew felt like the floor had disappeared beneath him. These were the women who'd raised him, who'd supported him, who he'd trusted with his wife, his child, his whole heart. She is my family, he said, his voice breaking. She's my wife, my child's mother, the love of my life. Barbara opened her mouth and Andrew saw she was about to say something about the baby, something horrible, something that would make him do something he'd regret. Get out, he said quietly. Andrew, you need to understand. Get out of this hospital before I call security and have you arrested for attempted murder. The surgery lasted 4 agonizing hours. Their daughter was delivered at 2 pounds, 8 ounces, so tiny she fit in Andrew's hands. She was critical but breathing, fighting for every breath in the NICU. Simone had suffered seizures and a stroke during the eclampsia. She was in a coma. Andrew sat between the NICU and the ICU, holding his daughter's tiny finger through the incubator, then running to Simone's bedside to hold her hand and beg her to come back to him. His phone rang constantly. His company, his board, the investors, the deal. He ignored everything. His assistant called to say the company was in free fall without him. He didn't care. His lawyer called about his mother and sister trying to visit. He had restraining orders filed within the hour. Days blurred together. Andrew didn't leave the hospital. He slept in a chair, showered in the staff bathroom, ate whatever the nurses brought him. He whispered to his tiny daughter, I'm so sorry. Daddy failed you, failed your mama. But I'm here now. I'll never leave again. I promise. He talked to Simone's unconscious form for hours, telling her everything, begging for forgiveness he knew he didn't deserve. On day 6, Simone's eyes opened. She saw Andrew's face, gaunt and unshaven, tears streaming down his cheeks. Her voice was barely a whisper. Baby? Andrew's sob was broken and relieved. She's here. She's fighting. She's perfect. Like you. Simone's eyes filled with tears. Barbara, Claudia, they wouldn't. And Andrew watched her face change as the memories came back, as the horror of what happened settled over her. I know, he said, his voice shattered. I know everything, and I am so sorry. I chose a meeting over you. I turned off my phone. I left you with them. I thought providing meant working, but I wasn't there when you needed me most, when you were calling for me, when you were begging for help. When Simone's best friend Lisa arrived with her family, the full truth spilled out. The months of subtle isolation, the unplugged phone chargers, the dismissal of every concern Simone had raised. The way Barbara and Claudia had slowly, carefully made Andrew think Simone was needy, demanding, dramatic. They'd been separating them for months, widening the gap, making him choose work over her, without him even realizing what was happening. Simone looked at Andrew with eyes that held so much pain. They were pulling us apart, and it worked. Andrew didn't make excuses, and I let them. I believed them over you. I ignored your calls. I turned off my phone. I left you alone with people who wanted you gone. He took a shaking breath. I will never forgive myself, and I don't expect you to forgive me either. The conversation Simone needed to have couldn't happen in a day, or a week, or even a month. Healing took time. Andrew didn't fight when she said she needed space. He gave her everything, set up a separate home for her and their daughter, paid for the best therapists, the best care. He sold his company shares to afford it all. He fired Barbara and Claudia from the family company and cut them off completely. He changed his will, his trust, everything. They would never see their granddaughter. They would never know her name. They would get nothing from him but his contempt. But he also showed up every single day, to therapy, to doctor's appointments, to the middle of the night feedings when their daughter came home from the NICU. He learned to listen, really listen. He learned that love wasn't just words and promises. It was action. It was choice. It was showing up even when, especially when, it was hard. 3 years later, they're rebuilding. It's not the fairy tale anymore. Some days Simone looks at him and still sees the man who wasn't there when she needed him most. Some days the trust feels impossible, but she also sees the father who quit being CEO to be present, who goes to therapy 3 times a week, who believes her now about everything, always, without question, who sold the mansion and moved to a normal house she chose in a neighborhood she loved, who wakes up in the night when she has nightmares about that day and just holds her until she can breathe again. Their daughter Hope doesn't know her grandmother or aunt, and if Andrew has his way, she never will, because some betrayals don't deserve redemption. But the question that haunts them both is harder. Does Andrew? This story isn't about forgiveness. It's about choices. Andrew chose wrong when it mattered most, but he's chosen right every day since. Some love stories aren't about perfect people. They're about broken people deciding if the pieces still fit. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more real emotional stories. Comment below. Would you have given him a second chance, or are some betrayals too deep to heal? Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. But also remember, people can change if they truly want to. The question is, should you wait around to find out? Thanks for watching. See you in the next story.